What happens when country music royalty sits down with one of daytime television's most outspoken hosts, and the conversation takes a turn nobody saw coming? Today, we're diving into the explosive confrontation that had viewers at home, picking sides and social media, buzzing for weeks. Before we get into this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below with your thoughts. The View studio was buzzing with its usual energy, the kind that made live television feel unpredictable, in the best and sometimes worst ways. Reba McEntire, the undisputed queen of country music, walked onto the set with her signature charisma. She looked every bit the icon she was, vibrant red hair perfectly styled, a sleek black blazer, boots polished just enough to flash under the lights. She was there to promote her latest album and talk about some new projects. And no one in the studio expected the turn things were about to take. Joy Behar leaned forward, eyes sharp with that mischievous glint she was known for. The kind of look that made regular viewers lean in because they knew Joy wasn't afraid to push buttons. Reba smiled politely as she settled into her chair. But she wasn't naive. She sensed something was coming. "So, Reba," Joy began, her tone deceptively warm. "You've been in the entertainment business for decades. You've seen things change. What do you think about these young artists today who seem more focused on their social media followers than actual talent?" The audience reacted with a low ripple. Reba shifted only slightly, maintaining that Hollywood-trained poise. "Every generation finds its own way to connect," she replied calmly. "These young artists are talented. They're just using different tools than we did back in my day." But Joy pressed harder, pushing past diplomatic boundaries. "Don't you think social media has cheapened the art form? Anyone with a phone can call themselves a musician. Back in your era, you had to have real talent." A subtle hush fell. Whoopi shot Joy a warning look, but Joy was already moving in for the kill. She had poked the bear, and Reba's eyes sharpened just enough for the audience to pick up on it. "Well, Joy," Reba said slowly, voice still smooth but undeniably firm. "Talent is talent regardless of the platform. Some of the best artists I know started out online." The tension simmered. Joy waved a dismissive hand. "Come on, Reba. You can't compare someone lip-syncing on TikTok to what you built." Reba's smile didn't fade, but the steel underneath it became unmistakable. And that was the moment everything changed. The air in the studio felt dense, as if everyone sensed the line Joy had crossed. The other hosts shifted uncomfortably. Sarah cleared her throat in a weak attempt to redirect the conversation. But Reba lifted a gentle hand, signaling she was ready to handle this herself. "Joy," Reba said, her southern accent sliding into place like armor, "I'm curious. Comedy comes in many forms, right? You started in stand-up. Nobody would say one kind of comedy is less valid than another. Same thing with music." The audience collectively reacted, that familiar "oh" weaving through the studio. Joy straightened, clearly taken aback that Reba wasn't going to let the moment pass. "Well, I never claimed to be an authority," Joy pushed back. "But there's a difference between paying your dues and going viral overnight." Reba's expression tightened, not in anger, but in pure, grounded certainty. "Paying dues? Honey, let me tell you about paying dues." She leaned forward, voice controlled, but sharp enough to slice through the tension. "I sang in honky-tonk bars at 16 for $20 a night. I drove thousands of miles in a beat-up car, slept in truck stops, and played to crowds so small I could have named each person by memory." She paused. "So when you talk about paying dues, I know a little something about that." Joy wasn't backing down. "I'm not talking about your dues. I'm talking about these kids who become stars because of a viral video. That's not how the industry works." Reba didn't flinch. "You don't wake up with millions of followers. Joy, these kids work 18-hour days writing, recording, engaging with fans, learning instruments, all while competing with thousands of others. Just because you don't see the work doesn't mean it isn't happening." Whoopi tried, once again, to jump in and cool the temperature. But Reba kept her gaze locked on Joy. "I respect artists who put in the work, whether they're singing at the Grand Ole Opry or recording in their bedroom." Joy crossed her arms, leaning back. "There's something to be said for the traditional path. Record labels, professionals guiding careers, there's structure for a reason." That was the final spark. "Joy," Reba said with a humorless laugh, "that traditional path nearly killed my career 3 times. Executives telling me I was too country for pop, too pop for country. Producers wanting to change my voice, my look, even my name. That path kept countless artists from ever getting heard. Silence stretched as Reba continued, voice gaining power. The artists you're dismissing are doing something we never could have dreamed of, taking control of their own destiny. The atmosphere crackled with electricity. No one in the room knew it yet, but the confrontation was about to explode. Joy leaned in, face flushed, refusing to concede. Quality control matters. Reba, without professionals gatekeeping, you get chaos. Reba stood up. The entire studio froze. The View was known for spirited discussions, but guests never stood during a heated exchange. Even the camera operators hesitated, unsure whether to follow her or keep the standard shot. Joy, Reba said, her voice steady but charged. Are you seriously suggesting the industry's quality control has worked? Because I can name 100 awful songs that got radio play because an executive thought they would sell, and 1,000 brilliant ones that never saw daylight. Joy slammed her hand against the table, the sound echoing like a gunshot. Maybe the problem isn't young artists. Maybe the problem is established artists who can't handle honest criticism. A collective gasp swept through the studio. Reba's eyes went dangerously quiet. Are you suggesting I can't handle criticism? Joy doubled down. You're being defensive about a simple observation. Reba lifted one hand. Firm, commanding. Simple observation? Joy, you spent 5 minutes insulting an entire generation of artists. And when I defend them, suddenly I'm overreacting. She stepped around her chair with controlled rage, pacing like a storm gathering strength. I've been criticized by music critics who actually understand music, by fans who love me enough to want me to grow, by peers who respect the craft. That's criticism. What you're doing is looking down your nose at people whose boots you're not worthy to clean. The audience erupted with another shocked reaction. Joy's face turned nearly purple. How dare you? Joy sputtered. How dare I? Reba shot back. You sit here judging industries you've never worked in, artists you've never met, and careers you don't understand. You think holding a microphone makes you the authority? Honey, I've earned my place, and I don't need your stamp of approval. Then Joy made the mistake of mocking her again. Oh please, country music princess. Reba froze. The temperature in the studio plummeted. Don't you ever call me princess again. I've earned everything I have. Joy pushed up from her seat to match. Reba, some of us fought real battles while you just sang pretty songs. A stunned silence. Reba inhaled slowly. When she spoke, her voice was calm, but lethal. Real battles? Let me tell you about real battles. She listed them one by one. Heartbreak, career sabotage, gender bias, losing her band in a plane crash, rebuilding her life from ashes, raising her son alone, fighting executives who tried to erase her identity. The longer she spoke, the quieter Joy became. And for the first time, Joy looked like someone who realized she had gone far beyond the line. Reba's voice was quiet but unwavering. And you know what the hardest battle has been? People like you. People who think they know better than the artists who live this life every day. Joy opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Reba's words hit harder than anything Joy had expected. And for a moment, she seemed unable to speak at all. The audience held their breath, unsure of what would happen next. When Joy finally found her voice, it was small, uncertain, far removed from the confident, confrontational tone she'd started with. You're right. The words seemed to surprise even her. Reba blinked, taken aback. Joy took a slow breath. You're right, she repeated louder this time. I came into this trying to take an easy jab, stir things up for the show, make some jokes at the expense of something I don't actually understand. I thought you'd laugh it off. The studio was so quiet the cameras could pick up the hum of the lights overhead. Even Whoopi stared at Joy with disbelief. Self-reflection wasn't Joy's usual brand. Joy continued, voice cracking just slightly. What I did wasn't criticism. It was disrespect. Toward you. Toward young artists. Toward people watching at home. She shook her head. And I'm sorry. Reba slowly sat down, the fire in her eyes softening. She didn't interrupt. She didn't gloat. She simply listened. Joy exhaled deeply. I spend so much time trying to speak truth to power that I forgot. Sometimes I am the power. Sometimes I'm punching down, not up. And that's not who I want to be. The tension finally began to dissolve. Reba leaned forward. Joy, we all get heated. And trust me, I've had my moments. Maybe I could have stayed a little calmer too. Joy actually laughed. A real, relieved laugh. Are you kidding? You were magnificent. I haven't been read that thoroughly since my mother scolded me for lying about doing homework. The audience laughed softly, releasing the pressure that had built up like a storm cloud. Joy looked at Reba again. But I meant what I said. Help me understand these young artists. Help me see what I'm missing. Reba smiled, the warmth returning fully. Oh, Joy, you're missing a whole world. There's a young girl, barely 20, writing songs that'll break your heart and heal you in the same breath. She built her entire fan base from her bedroom with nothing but a guitar and honesty. And stories like hers? I could tell you 100. Joy listened, really listened, for the first time. And just like that, the storm passed. But the moment they created that day would be talked about for years.